Hey, how you doing? It's funny how the universe kind of works. I had this thought this morning on the way here. I was talking to a guy like a week or so ago. He walked up to me and he said, "What are you, a carpenter?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I can tell by the pencil." And I thought he was a Hispanic guy, and I thought, well, maybe I had worked with him on a project or something. And no, whatever. And that was just in the back of my head recently. I was going to make some joke about that. And on the bike ride to work today, I was thinking about the pencil thing, and I was like, who else carries a pencil? And the only other person who really carries a pencil around is like a writer. And then I had this recollection of how I used to go out a lot, and I met a lot of writers. Now I could tell you stories about famous people I've met, actors and whatnot, at parties, and mostly parties back in the 90s. And then sometimes I run into them through work, or I might run into somebody out in life. And I'm the kind of guy I'll just walk up and talk to somebody, and you would know who they are. But when it comes to writers, you don't really know who they are. Some of you do. If you're well read, you might know certain writers, especially when it comes to novels and whatnot. But when it comes to TV and movies, unless you're in the business or like a super fan, you don't tend to know who these people are. You might recognize some names, you know, especially if you watch like old movies on Turner Classic Movies. You'll get used to seeing certain names in the credits there. Why am I bringing this up? Well, it's I can't tell you how often, particularly in the 90s and into the early 2000s, when I'd be out with friends and I would be introduced to somebody as a writer, and we would do something together. It was mountain biking or surfing or hiking. A lot of hiking. Just do a lot of hiking here. And one of these guys would say to me, "Hey, can I use that? I want to use that." And I'd always say, "Oh yeah, whatever," Or sometimes I'd laughingly say, "Well, give me credit or something," and that was it. I never thought about it. But so often I'll see something in a show, and I wonder if did I meet somebody who wrote something for this show, because that's exactly something I did in my life. Now, there's probably a lot of you same thing. Life imitates art, and we're not all that different. We're all human beings, and I'm nothing that special. As a matter of fact, before I even decided to do this video, I thought I got to do some videos on other subject matter than myself, because there's got to be some of you here just getting tired of me, and I wouldn't blame you. I get tired of me sometimes, but I'm forcing myself to do it because I know I need to. It is an example of a show. Like, there was a show on HBO, and I canceled HBO because they're peppering in too much woke stuff for my taste. I just canceled it. And I stopped watching the NFL years ago. I just stopped watching a lot of network television. I don't like to get caught up in episodic series because you get locked into it. It becomes kind of a waste of your time after a while. That's just my opinion. I prefer YouTube. I watch more stuff on YouTube than I ever did on television anymore. Having said that, there was a show on HBO for a while. It was called Barry. And that one, man, that was so... I'm a Marine. I studied acting, and I had this reputation in town. I've got a video where I talked about how people in Hollywood think I'm a hitman because of this dude I knew, and I misspoke in that because I characterized this old friend of mine incorrectly in the video because it was off the cuff without much thought. So, ow, I popped my shoulder there. It's garbage truck day. As I was saying, this dude who I was pretty tight with for a number of years, I don't remember what I said in that video, but I didn't get it right. What I meant to say was he used his friendship with me to make himself look more interesting so that he could get more work in the industry. Because that's how it works here. It's if you're an interesting cat, people think you're cool, they want you to be around. So he was going on all these shows and he was saying how he knew a hitman, and they'd be like, bullshit. He goes, "Oh, you want to meet him?" And because he was constantly introducing me to all these new people. I met a lot of celebrities through him that way who treated me in a very bizarre manner. Of course, now I realize why, because they all thought I was a hitman. And so when this show Barry came on, again, Marine, He goes take this acting class to get close to a mark, and then it turns out he likes the acting thing and he sticks with that. That just followed along with my story, the story that was out there here in Hollywood, and there's been many other little things like that where I've told a story to somebody, or I've done something around other people that's made it into some sort of show or something. So I've always wondered what's going on with that, because I can't tell you the names of any of these writers. I don't remember any of them. Give me another garbage truck coming? This is crazy. Oh, so pro, man. Maybe one of these days I'll have like a pro sound studio for you. Would you guys even watch that then? Anyhow, I had all these things in my head, and I didn't know how to like approach it to talk about a video, and I don't know how good this even is going to be, but I got up here today, and I pulled up, and there's this old guy that lives next door, and his name's Anthony Picone, and he's 85 years old, and he's the coolest dude, man. And Anthony's always well dressed, even when he's just going for a walk, or he's working on the yard or something, except when it's really hot. He's got this gate that's kind of open. If you walk by and you see him out there sanding, you don't want to look in, because he might just be in his underwear and nothing else with rubber gloves sanding something. He's super fit, really thin dude. He's dating women in their 40s. Italian guy. And but Anthony, for decades, worked for, I think it was Neiman Marcus, and he was in the fashion department, right? Well, I guess that's all Neiman Marcus is. I can't really speak to all the exact specifics of this because I don't recall it, because we don't discuss his thing that much anymore. But he dressed all the greats, man. Gregory Peck, and we talked about Aldo Ray today. One of the things I love about this guy is I'll pull up and we'll start talking about something. It always goes to old movies, and I watch a lot of that. As a matter of fact, the other day I watched for the first time, I can't believe it took me this long, The Outlaw, which was Howard Hughes and was it? Oh, come on. It's not Jane Mansfield. It's the other Jane. Like, it can't. I'm sorry, but she's famous for the movie poster, and they really got her into tight clothing and showed off the cleavage and everything. It was a big deal for the time. And one of my pet peeves was with these old movies from the 30s and 40s when they portray people who really lived, right? Like Billy the Kid. And if you just want to talk about the Billy the Kid thing, there's Doc Scurlock and all those guys. Young Guns is the best portrayal of those guys, in my opinion. Because in real life, Doc Holliday, Wyatt Earp, all these dudes, when they were doing their thing, they were all young, especially the Lincoln County Wars. Those guys were all under 23 years old, man. And in this movie, Outlaw, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid don't know each other. They meet that way. That's not correct. And then, what the hell's Doc Holliday being there? He wasn't even there. He had no part of that. And all the actors, other than Billy the Kid, they did get a young actor to portray him, and he did a pretty good job, in my opinion. But Pat Garrett in the movie is by O'Brien, I forget his first name, but he's like in his 40s or something. Pat Garrett was a kid just like the rest of them. So that always bothered me. But with this movie, it was a fantasy film anyhow. And it was actually pretty well done, and the story was pretty interesting, I thought. But it was one of those things where we always have these conversations where we talk about all these actors, and he knows them all personally and knew all these intimate details about these people. And I'm always telling him he's got to write a book, but he doesn't want to do it. And he brought up Katharine Hepburn and how she hooked up with this writer, and she revealed probably too much. And the guy was really interested in really the relationship between her and Spencer Tracy, and I guess he revealed too much of the dirt that she wasn't happy with, I guess, when the book came out, and it severed the relationship between her and Spencer Tracy, which is a shame. But I keep telling him, dude, you got nothing to worry about with that, because all the people we're talking about are dead. They're all dead. Nobody cares anymore. So I think it would be good for the fans of some of these movies. Matter of fact, if anybody watching this has any sort of connection with Turner Classic Movies, it would be hard to get Anthony to talk. But I think if you approached him the right way, he would be just such a wealth of information. He's an unassuming guy. He's not the type. Doesn't have a YouTube channel, But that's the guy. And there's thousands of people like this guy. Talk to your old neighbors. talk to old people. Just walk up. If you got an old neighbor who's kind of by themselves, they keep to themselves, they live in your neighborhood, man, bake that person a pie or something. Go over, knock on the door, talk to them, get to know about their life a little bit, or what they've done and who they've known. It could just open up all kinds of doors in your mind. It's fascinating. So I don't know what this is really about, but I'm a carpenter, and I do some writing myself, but I haven't done much with it. I just find all this stuff fascinating. How you could just be thinking about something, run into somebody, and then that whole subject just turns into something that's a great conversation. I've said it before, and I got a call the other day from a perfect stranger. Dude, you might be watching this right now. And I talked to him for, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes on the phone. He kind of caught me at a moment in time when I had the time. Your time is your most precious thing, you know. If you take the time to slow it down and have a good conversation with another human being, you're doing a great thing, not just for that person, but for yourself. And when a couple human beings actually sit down and talk and share, you both grow from it. Like, you're forever a new person. You're forever a little bit different. And the more conversations you have with more people, in particular diverse people, if you're always talking to the same people about the same stuff, you're going to reach a plateau. It's like working out. If you work out the same way all the time, your body gets used to that. You're going to plateau, and you're not going to grow anymore from that. So you need muscle confusion for growth. It's the same thing with people and conversations. So open yourself up a little bit to talking to all kinds of different people, and you're going to grow as a human being. That's how you become a more interesting character, and partly how you develop character to a large extent as well. Yeah, that's it for now. Have a great day. Be good to one another. Come back often. It'll get more entertaining. Right now, I am in the process of working on this project, and I'm milling up a ton of lumber here. I got some stuff right there. I got some stuff in the back there, rails and stiles for doors, and I ripped all this stuff yesterday. It's all vertical grain, and today I've got to face joint it, straight line it, thickness it, let it sit overnight, come back and plane it again. It's a lot of work. It could take 2 days just to do this one process right now. And then it's going to take 3 or 4 days just to get this material to the point where I can actually start doing joinery and actually start putting parts together. So I got to get, as soon as I get this job done, then I've got to do some sort of trip or something so that this channel's more interesting. It'll get there, I promise. Like I was saying, have a good day, be good to one another. Thanks again for being here. I'll catch you guys in the next one.